Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you my monthly recommendations for historical fiction. Monthly Recommendations is a Goodreads group created by Trina and Kayla. I will leave a link to both of their channels and the Goodreads group down below for you guys to check out. Each month we have a different topic that we give recommendations surrounding that topic, and this month's topic is historical fiction. Now, I don't read a huge amount of historical fiction, and I believe that is why Trina and Kayla chose historical fiction as this month's recommendation topic, because historical fiction is a bit of an unloved genre of books. So I do have a few recommendations here that I would love to chat with you guys about, so let's jump straight in. The first three books that I want to talk about are all World War II fiction novels. World War II fiction is one of my favorite areas of historical fiction to talk about. So I will go through those three books first. The first of those is Codename Verity by Elizabeth Vine. This is a, as I said, World War II fiction novel that follows two female protagonists, and the main thing that I really love about this particular book is the themes of friendship. This book has a absolutely fantastic friendship between the two female leads. It is an absolutely beautiful and heart-wrenching story. It does have a sequel. I did enjoy the sequel as well, though not quite as much as I enjoyed Codename Verity. I highly recommend this book, and I definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't done so already. The second World War II fiction I want to talk about is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This one follows, rather than two friends, follows two sisters who are very different from each other, and they are living in an occupied area that is occupied by the Nazis, and it's about kind of, it doesn't follow like the front and the fighting so much as it follows being at home and surviving what people had to go through at home during the war, particularly women. And I found this story extremely engaging, heart-wrenching, of course. It is a great story that I, again, highly recommend, and definitely think that everyone, if you enjoy World War II fiction and you haven't read this, definitely check it out. The third World War II fiction novel is, I'm sure, one that you all expected to see, and that is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I absolutely adored this book. This book follows a young girl named Liesl. She has recently been adopted by two parents, and she is German, and she is living in Germany, obviously, during World War II. So again, this one's a little bit different in that it's following German people living like in a German town during the war. This is narrated by Death, and it follows, as I said, Liesl. She starts to, she doesn't know how to read or write, and her new adoptive father is teaching her to read and write, and they also, a main part of the plot is that they take in a Jew and hide a Jew, a Jewish person in their home during the war. And again, this book is beautiful. This is, as I said, it's one of my favorite books of all time. If you haven't read this, please read this. The next book that I'm going to recommend is a little bit different. It's not necessarily a book so much. I mean, I have here The Secret by Julie Garwood. Really, I'm just kind of recommending Julie Garwood as a whole. Julie Garwood writes a lot of historical romance. So if historical romance is something that you are interested in or that you enjoy and you haven't read anything by Julie Garwood, definitely check her out. This one in particular follows, is set in Scotland, during, I'm not sure, I think it's during the 16th or 17th century, but it is, as I said, it's just kind of your standard romance novel. But if you are interested in romance books, then Julie Garwood is definitely worth checking out. The next book I want to talk about is Jasper Jones by Craig Silvey. This is an Australian young adult novel that is set during the, I'm not sure if it's the late 60s or early 70s. It is set during the Vietnam War, but it is set in Australia in a small outback town. It follows a boy who one night has the local like kind of bad boy troublemaker knock on his bedroom window and ask him for help. It kind of follows what follows on from that. The boy who knocks on his window is Jasper Jones. Jasper Jones is an Indigenous boy. So it has a lot of racial issues in this, not only because Jasper Jones is Indigenous and it does highlight some issues surrounding that, but it also, as I mentioned, is set during the Vietnam War. The main character's best friend comes from a Vietnamese family, and it shows a lot of the kind of prejudice that his family received during Vietnam War times, and it's a really, really great book. It's a coming of age novel. I love this book. Obviously, it being an Australian novel, it is very, very underhyped, I think. So definitely, again, check this one out because it's a really, really great book. And the final book that I am going to recommend in this video, I don't actually own, and that is The Diviners by RatherBeReading. The Diviners by RatherBeReading, I'm sure you've all heard of. It is set in the 1920s, and it follows a world where there's some people who have kind of supernatural powers. It's not known, and the main character that we're following, Evie, has these supernatural powers. She can kind of touch objects and see things about like the person who owns the object, and she has recently moved to New York to live with her uncle, and she through some events becomes involved in kind of helping track down a murderer, basically, with the help of her powers. It's a really, really, really great book. It is very creepy. We do get the viewpoint in the story from the murderer. I highly, highly recommend the audiobook for this one. The audiobook for this is amazing. There is a sequel, Lair of Dreams, which I also really, really enjoyed, but I highly, highly recommend The Diviners. Definitely check that one out because it's a lot of fun. So those were some of my recommendations for some historical fiction books. If you guys have read any really great historical fiction that I didn't mention, please do let me know down below because I really think this is a genre that I don't read enough of. So I'd love to chat with you guys in the comments down below about that. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. But that's all I've got for this video today. Bye guys.